Hello, everybody, and welcome this morning. A happy Women's Day to all the women out there, all the PhonePe women engineers, and all the women at PhonePe. A big welcome to Sonali. Thank you, Sonali, for doing this. It's super exciting to have you in conversation. This is one of the first fireside chats that we are doing. In fact, in engineering, we plan to do a whole bunch, and I'm so happy to have started this with you. For folks who don't know, one of the things that make me super proud about knowing Sonali is the fact that she's actually a senior from my college in Mumbai. So Samir and I are juniors. I think Sonali graduated 2 years, 2 or 3 years before us. So she's from the same alma mater, Sardar Patel College of Engineering, and we were colleagues at Flipkart. Sonali has had an amazing career. She's currently director of engineering at Facebook at its headquarters in Palo Alto, Sonali. I'm assuming
Yeah,
San Francisco or Palo
Bangalore.
Alto. Before that, she was at Flipkart. I know her from Flipkart. We both joined Flipkart approximately the same time, a few months apart. She's done some tremendous work at Flipkart. Uh, what I know of, that itself is amazing, and I'm pretty sure she's done much more. In fact, she was the one who started Flipkart's mobile journey. She started with Flipkart as a M site, transformed the M site into a retail app, mobile app, the first version of the mobile app, and the many versions to come out post that. She's built the mobile platform at Flipkart ground up. So the transformation from an M site to a mobile first company and leading into partially a mobile only company for a period of time was to a lot of credit to Sonali and the team that she built. In fact, I believe that the team also was built ground up. There were hardly any app engineers when Sonali started. She's also taken on the, I believe, continues to be one of the toughest problems, which is search and recommendation. She headed search and recommendation at Flipkart. I know the transformation of recommendation from what we used to do to the point that we're using computer visioning and image based recommendations, search, browse, again, under the helm of Sonali. Uh, we've actually worked together through at least a couple of big billion days, which was a lot of fun and a lot of firefighting and excitement. And this is all just at Flipkart, what I know of what she's done. So she's had an amazing career even before that. And now post that for the last, I think, 4 years at Facebook. And she has another great journey ahead of her. So Sonali, welcome to the fireside chat at PhonePe. Super cool to have you.
Thank you, Rahul. I think no one can beat you at being generous with words, but thank you. And wish everyone on the call as well happy Women's Day. Really happy to be invited to this forum. When Ankita reached out to me, in many ways, I have a very warm connection with PhonePe. Starting with you and Samir, but also all the people. I think some of my favorite folk on my team and people that I worked with at Flipkart, right, are all part of PhonePe. So, I could never have given up this opportunity. I wish that this could have been in person.
I'm pretty sure the
But
next
there
time
will
we
be another
come
time.
here, we will have you in person. And yes, I think for folks, whether it is Srijan, whether it is Shantanu, Amit, a whole bunch of folks have worked with Sonali at Flipkart, and it's been an amazing relationship that we've all shared working with her on initiatives that have been on the search side, the browse side, everything. So, Sonali, welcome once again. To kick off this conversation, would love for you to reflect a little on the decades plus of your career and what have been some of the choices or instances that have been kind of pivotal to where you are today, which is at the helm of something really big at cutting edge tech. So, if you could take us through some of that, would be awesome.
Sure. Maybe why don't I actually give you a little bit of how what my journey has been like. I don't know whether you would quantify it quite the way I would quantify it quite the way you did. But let me give you a taste of what it's been like. So I grew up in Bombay. Started with electrical engineering in SPC as the connection we share. Um, and I actually started with with programming at that time. Not in a very deliberate fashion. So I actually took an internship with a company that was making transformers, um, right? And like automating the design tools and processes. And I still remember the really lengthy C code that we wrote at the time, that we took immense pride in for the number of lines that we wrote. But I think, yeah, that journey, I think, really transformed me, right? The transformer company transformed me, I would say, um, to realize that I actually really loved this space and loved the problem solving. And so that's where it began, really, where I very consciously then took that up. Um, and the first few years were largely about solving tech problems that are difficult. um, you know uh, I think for the first 6 to 7 years, I largely worked in spaces, interestingly, that I'm still dabbling in right now. So, some of my early stints include like working with SendMail, which was like the early version of messaging. SMTP team from SendMail still runs on Unix servers. I'm working in messaging again now. Early versions of e-commerce. This is like early 2000. I'm talking about, where we were building the first few versions of like allowing people to shop from home. Um, and um, but and then when I came back, this was in the US for a few years, and then when I came back to India, I actually joined a couple of companies working on enterprise software, supply chain, and in the space of finance. um, there were a few pivotal moments there where I think so, especially once when in a company where I'd built a lot of ground up software for the supply chain
Mhm.
pieces. The company itself went through a major transformation, and pivoted its business from being large, serving large consumers, to like the SMB segment. And I think that gave me a taste for what it means to kind of overhaul your technology to serve a completely different need. So I remember that as distinctly being a game changer for me, and me realizing what I that's more than tech, that I need kind of the whole picture, to kind of believe and be inspired and get the technology to life. Um, the next big moment, I think, was where I having worked in a lot of like platforms, high throughput, scalable systems for a while. um, I started craving for the fact that I need to connect with who's using my products. So
Mhm.
working in the enterprise space, I realized that I just could not be that customer, for the products I was building. And Flipkart, right, I think came in right there because it gave me just that opportunity. For me, it was a dream team because we were all kind of really audacious, unafraid, you
Crazy.
know, crazy, bindas, right? And I think that was just what I needed at the time, to kind of so yeah, I think that was a big part, and I continue to actually remain in that space, building products which I can touch and feel myself as a consumer.
Which is awesome. And touching upon that crazy part, right? There is this whole, and I've had that in my career. The first 10 years of my career was mostly in the enterprise side, uh, uh, SAN switching and embedded software. A lot of C programming with lines and lines of code. Uh,
Cisco, right? You were at Cisco.
that Sun Microsystems and then Cisco, Andiamo Systems, Cisco.
Mhm.
And then there was the Flipkart and now the PhonePe journey with a small startup between the two, which was Mind 360. And the craziness that the B2C space brought was amazing, right? The amount of energy, the very quick decisioning, thinking on your feet, etc. And we were a very loud bunch. As a woman leader, did you find some of that challenging at all? Were there moments where you felt that the environment was just too much about how much noise anybody can make, very frankly, right? We've been through that. How was that journey? How was that journey as a woman leader through this very aggressive B2C space and hyper competitive space?
Sure. Um, I I think Flipkart never gave me enough time to pause and think honestly. But I think when I kind of think in retrospect, right? I I feel some of those moments actually were enablers, and I'll touch upon the challenges in a bit, right? But I must admit that when I look back, and this has been true of Flipkart or any other place, including where I'm right now, I think I think being through those big billion days or those, I don't know if you remember that Xiaomi,
Oh yeah,
um,
I can never
yeah,
forget
right, where we did like
flash
this
sale, the flash sale.
exclusive, right? And
Exclusive.
Flipkart was, yeah, exactly. Flipkart was
Pioneer,
breaking
pioneer on.
ground.
Yeah.
Yeah. And so, yeah, you were on the other side of like fulfilling it, and I was like trying to get the orders.
You
I,
used to get the order,
I
then we used to have the hold the brunt without having the goods.
so so I think that in many ways those moments actually bring people together in ways which and I think I'm sure that's the part that should be the promise of a company like PhonePe as well, to people who are in my shoes probably right now, because I think that that's one thing which level sets the field, right? Everyone's an equal because you're so bound together in kind of winning it, that you come together in ways where you don't see the differences. um, there are, however, I think as you rightly put, so I don't think that the behaviors were personally to me at that time as noticeable, because you're just kind of full of that rush of winning. The challenges come in the fact that you're not necessarily in the same personal situation, right? So and so this kind of again depends on where you are in your life stage. But for me, I was certainly at a point where to be able to absorb those fits and bursts that come in, you need uh, a support system, and basically just a flexibility both at work and at home,
Right.
um, to just do what you think is the right thing at the moment. Um, so so those sometimes I got, sometimes I didn't, and those moments were tough. But yeah, I think so that was mostly the challenge to me.
Got it. And as you rightly said, I think support both on the personal front and the professional front, extremely important. Uh, what has been your support system? Who would you recall as the couple of people in your career who have been extremely supportive, encouraging, and or inspirational for you?
um, I think I think honestly it's hard to put a finger on one, because you just I just think of it, and I I remember like so many individuals at various points or days, like people that I were working with, right? Mostly people in my teams,
Yeah.
people who were kind of, uh, you know, you know, like there's so many moments. So that's why I was talking about like the moments that I've shared with people that you mentioned. They're so I think that they've been really different people at different times. Um, I think without a doubt, family is a bedrock, right? I've had close friends, and that has been an enabler to my professional success, because um, kind of being able to lean on that without thinking that they're sacrificing, but they're just kind of celebrating with
Yeah.
you when you're enjoying yourself has been key. Um, at work, I would say the people that come to mind are those that have generally just placed immense trust, and let me do my thing, cut the noise if you will, right?
Yeah.
And just let me do my thing. So that has been remarkable. Work with Samir very closely, and I would I definitely cherish a lot of those characteristics from him, where he really basically just cut the noise and let me do my thing. uh, and but yeah, I mean, so many, including the ones that you were just talking about. Like I was talking to you just before this call, right? Like Shantanu, Srijan, Amit, Tushar, the list is long.
You are an
I
amazing
just don't
colleague.
want
We
to.
all recall very fondly you as a great colleague, a great manager, and I think you're right. I think trust plays a huge, huge role in handling those bursts, as you mentioned. So Sonali, I think one of the discussions that we've been having, and we've been having for a while at PhonePe, is about how do we become a better place for women engineers, right? And for women to see themselves as working here for a long time, growing in their careers, taking on leadership roles. And when it comes down to it, in discussions we've had about why we don't have more women at the in engineering at PhonePe, nobody really feels that there is any sort of a bias, right? None of us have a bias explicitly. But when the discussions happen, there is an implicit bias in terms of perhaps time management, perhaps the ability to actually reach out to an engineer at any point. It could be late at night for a crisis or a production issue, etc. And these are not explicit biases, but in discussions, it has come out that there's a different level of comfort when it comes to men versus women in engineering. Have you ever noticed that there has been this sort of an implicit bias, maybe not with you, but with team members, etc.? And if so, how do we actually break that? How do we actually get away from that? And that would be very useful for us to know, because we are looking at transforming ourselves into a place that is genuinely designed for success, irrespective of whether you're a man or a woman.
Mhm. Um, so I think the short answer is yes. And I think that's I think thankfully now we're at a point, right, where it is universally acknowledged. I mean, remember when I started, I don't think that I was even aware of a notion of bias or a glass ceiling, or like it didn't occur to me until much later in my career that maybe there is such a thing. And even then I was in denial. um, I in terms of what you could do, I think I can tell you about, like, my own experience. Like, I when I worked with Goldman, they had a very structured, very well done program, both in terms of awareness as well as kind of providing the tools to women leaders, right? And I kind of was part of that, which was a big enabler. I think that was what kind of made me realize that such a thing, even you know that there may be things that I'm experiencing differently, which could be taking away opportunities, which I would have not even known. Which brings me to a very good, you know, realization that maybe, it's great that you guys are already recognizing that, but it might be valuable to figure out how you quantify the importance, right? Or how do you kind of even quantify whether there is an issue? Because um, one of the challenges we're seeing is, so let's talk about how the industry deals with other things, right? Like when we prioritize products, right, or when we fix bugs, we basically look at like how many people are experiencing that, right? So if only 2% of PhonePe consumers are reporting an issue, I don't know whether you're going to prioritize over something which is like where 50% or no, the other 98% are facing that issue, right? So that's like inherently, we are wired to prioritize based on what is the ROI, like, and what is the right. And genuinely, so when you do pulse feedback, I don't know if you're doing that already at PhonePe, but as you start kind of getting 360 feedback on how the organization health is, um, again, that sampling is kind of flawed because of the inherent um, problem, right, that already exists, where you don't have enough representation of the minority, right? Um, so I think there are a few things. One is there is no substitute for having kind of women role models. That's for sure. People who kind of lived it, experienced it, and who can kind of very quickly diagnose and kind of intervene or advise right in the moment. And one thing I've often wondered is, there are a lot of initiatives people are taking to kind of hire, which, I agree with you, it's painstakingly long process. There's just, lesser top of funnel availability. So there's only so much you can do without slowing yourself down. But one thing to tap into might be, getting more advisors or, getting more people. So, and I think this is kind of an industry thing where I believe that, the few that we have, kind of tapping into those to make sure that they're already, acting as advisors into how, decisions are being made might be one thing to consider. The other thing, of course, is what you're doing right now, right? Like, if I use the same analogy, you know, when you always have these mid-priority bugs like lurking around, right? There's nothing like a fixathon, right? And you kind of do justice to what you've been waiting for all along, well intended, but never got around to. So these Women Day, kind of events, the one that you're doing now, um, you know, is a great start to kind of make sure that you make your intent clear and you actually take time off to invest in people realizing why it's important, how it can actually help your business, because you hopefully have a representation of how your consumer actually is represented, which is like 50% or more women. Um, and and then hopefully the third part is that you, just like the bug analogy I would give, hopefully you don't just fix the bugs that kind of wait a year for the next fixathon, right?
Yeah.
You use the realizations from that to engineer into your processes. And so hopefully a day that is kind of spent immersed in the realization allows to make some kind of more needle movements
More sustainable changes.
in how you approach. So sustainable. I think that basically structured programs do help, and I would start with that. But I think that having a constant voice and being creative about how to get that constant voice, on at the table sooner than waiting for the whole process to solve is something that you might want to do.
No, you're very right. I mean, like I mentioned before we started this session, uh, when we started PhonePe and a year into that journey, we actually took on a goal of hiring more women at PhonePe. And we actually did a good job. And some of the best engineers that I have in the team here are women who we hired at that point very, very consciously, ensuring that we increase the participation or the number of women in engineering. But it petered off because it was a one-time effort. It wasn't really a structured program. It wasn't really planned as something that is not just a target for that particular quarter or year, but something that was a sustainable change. So whether it comes to policies, whether it comes to regular programs, whether it comes to taking constant feedback. We've started our pulse surveys over the last 2 years, and we've got some fairly sharp feedback in terms of how we can become a better workplace for women. So
I I
definitely.
must inject here though, right? Like I often quote you and Samir as kind of examples there, because I still remember when you hired, I think, was it your first 50 engineers, right? I remember the declaration, public declaration, where you guys paused hiring, and I think that is amazing for a startup, right? Because you're going fast. Pause is like a completely a banned word, right? So that was pretty amazing to even take that step, and it's really commendable.
Thank you. Thank you.
And there are very few, I think, that take that. So, but yeah, you're right. I think figuring ways. I haven't followed since, but I think figuring ways to sustain that
So
is
hopefully,
amazing.
this time we do a better job and keep it more structured and sustainable. So that's actually great advice for us as a company, for me personally as a founder, of how to approach getting much better representation. And you're totally right. I mean, 50% of our user base, 50% of the population, 50% of the user base are women. The number of women who are now getting into decisioning on financial services and investment from the household perspective is continuously increasing. And if you don't have your workforce representative of that, you're also going to be losing out on the advantage that you can hold if you have that representation. So that's a very strong quantification or ROI or need, if at all, more than outside of just it being a no-brainer that we should have more women in the company. But specifically for young women engineers in the company, right? And for us managers on a daily basis, men or women, what would be your advice? What would be the things that for both sets, for the managers and for women engineers, looking back at your career, what would be some of the few points of advice that you would give?
Um, I mean, I think I can reflect on, things that I had. So I think, look, I mean, a lot has changed, right? In terms of like, my personal experiences and enablers and throttlers at the time. Um, I
It could
think,
be even what you see working for you right now as a leader in the company. Uh, Even those things would be very, very helpful for us.
what I'm going to say is probably universally true, but I think one realization I've certainly had is, as I ran you through my journey, right? I think you see that it wasn't a very linear journey. And I think that happens more so for women. At least personally, I feel, especially as you have life events, right? You do have, these moments where there are, it's sawtoothy, and there are quantum jumps you get, and you have to make the most of those. So one thing that I come to realize is, that it is, at any point in time, you're either going to be above your potential, playing above your potential, or below. You're just never going to be on the right point on the line, because
Me
you
too.
don't know where the line is. Um, and 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 I think there have been times where I've felt that maybe I missed the boat, right? Or you know maybe I should have realized and kind of stepped into this opportunity earlier. And that's kind of been a nagging thought when I've taken on an exciting space, because I've been like, too late. I should have. Why was I doing this 5 years ago? Um, and I think I would encourage, especially for women, as they kind of especially women in their mid-career stages, as they kind of have to take time off to plan, for family, or other demands on their personal life. That's okay. It nets out in the end. And there are many different paths, like not just from my own, like, but just by looking at other women I keep in touch with, I see that there are many paths, you know to the experiences you're trying to get. um the other part for me, and is probably true, is that I think I know that I've I really care a lot about like the people I work with and for. And so there have been cases where I think I have been less acute about, like, acutely aware about, like, how much am I, getting back? Like, how much am I learning versus how much am I comfortable in my setup? And there are certainly roles where I've overstayed, like, just because, things are just too cushy, and there are other demands on my life.
Mm.
Um, every single time I've actually, taken a decision, decision which has kind of challenged that and just put myself where I've really wanted to be professionally, I think it's been rewarding. So that's another thing that I would, I just think that I could have done more of, and I would strongly encourage, and that's what I do right now as well, all the time.
I think that's actually great advice to be able to accept maybe that there will be life-changing events and they net off in the end, but to actually plan your career with that view, take yourself, make some of the non-linear changes when the opportunity arises, and also possibly push your boundaries. That's actually great advice, irrespective whether you're a woman engineer or a male engineer.
And I think especially early on, I think one thing that I realized is that early on is the best time to kind of, either kind of, try different locations, try different domains, try different technologies, right? Like, really spread yourself and figure out what you like, or also decide to go deep. Because, then there's a phase of your life where you might, kind of want to be in situations where you're also capitalizing on what you kind of already built, and also learning. So I think the early investments are also another thing that I think initially, I think having all the hunger to kind of maximize that learning is serves well.
And I think when you mentioned that, I realized that if you do that early in your career, even if you had a career break, the confidence that it gives when you come back into industry of having been able to do that is great. And it works on both sides. Even on the hiring manager side, the very fact that you've been able to negotiate the learning curve not once, but multiple times gives the confidence that a career break doesn't really matter in terms of the person's own capability or anything like that. Sonali, before I get into more questions, would love for folks to start. If you have questions for Sonali, please post it on the Q&A. We'll definitely make some time to ask her some of the questions at least that folks may have. I think we have more than 280 participants. So yes, please fire away your questions on the Q&A tab, please, and we will get to that. Sonali, one last question, and this is it also keeps coming up in terms of, and it's true that women have as many challenges and work at home as they do at the workplace. And while I believe it is changing, at least in a lot of households where the work is getting shared, it is not enough. So there is a lot of balance that women have to bring. So personal life. At the same time, I believe genuinely, if I look at Priya, my wife, she manages time significantly better than me, and most women are much better at multitasking and time management. So there are positives as well as there are challenges in balancing personal life with professional life, specifically for women. What are your thoughts on that, and how have you been able to achieve that?
I mean, look, I wouldn't say I figured it all, right? So no illusions here. Um, but
But you do, your
but I
career
think
gives the impression that you've got it all figured out.
uh, so uh, I think one thing that I've found again, because I've been fortunate, I think, especially in, when I've needed it most. Not in all cases, but I've certainly had my share of moments which could have gone smoother. But um, is I think organizations need to build. I think you already have kind of diagnosed the fact that you know um, and this could be true for anyone, but specifically for women, you just can't create time, right? And the industry in which we operate, I think you cannot predict, like, especially when especially as you grow in your career, or, even if you're starting your career, if you are, kind of signing up for something where you're the decision maker, or you're the kind of single point of failure, right? You I think that's where there is a challenge in terms of satisfying like this tension between the demands on your personal time and what is expected professionally. So I think for organizations to not be surprised, but to be aware and plan that there will be a higher level of incident management at home, and to plan for those, that those P0s will be handled. uh, I think that can be done. And um, I think that's something which can be a huge enabler to make sure. I think for me, for example, um, there have certainly been moments. I can give you a few illustrations, right? I've had a moment where I've actually had to go tell my manager, you know what, I think this is getting to a point where I'm, probably need to reconsider, like my choices, right? This was a situation where I, particularly had, a lot of demands. For younger one was, really needed me, and this was not a time where you could actually work from home like we all are, right? This was a time where, I was the only option I had to work from home was over my BlackBerry, trying to figure calls, and so it just wasn't worth it. And there was a very little thing that the person did, right? Which is, he was like, just heard me out, right? And then made sure I had a secure VoIP connection where I could just very directly pick the call, and I had a US line at home, right? That was the only intervention. And yeah, okay, I'm not sure this is going to change the game completely, but I'll take it. And we decided to see how it goes. But that's all I needed. I hadn't figured that out because So solutions, could be many. It happened to be a passing phase, and just the ease and the awareness that I wasn't missing out on anything, that I could be home if I so chose to, was great. Um, so I think, um, there's similarly, a lot of such characteristics where there have been little things that people around me have done. There was another case where I wasn't allowed to drive to work, or take, the autos on bumpy roads. And this was pre-Uber. When my manager offered to, uh, offer me a ride, and for 5 months I went in and out with her. She was also a woman manager, by the way, which was, you mentioned the people. She's been a large part of, I think, what gave me the confidence, that you can actually be a woman leader, and nothing's really different. You can be as tough and as sensitive as you want to be, and operationally nothing really changes. So yeah, but I think there's the little things that matter, and have mattered for me personally in my stage. Obviously, I've enlisted a lot of help, as much help as is possible. And there, I think really it's about, initially it felt like, there's this second guess of whether you're, whether there's a sacrifice that you're asking people to make. Um, but that there I realized over time that it isn't, right? Like with a family, it's really like think of it as a mutual thing that you're mutually doing for each other. Like hopefully, I moved away from having the guilt of feeling like, maybe my children are getting less of me when I've had to, steal away time, personal time for work, um, to realizing that, this is like a team play. And hopefully, they're growing to be kind of, more responsible adults, right? Who can be a little more selfless in the relationships they will nurture. And so I actually feel like, I'm actually being, I can feel proud of how I'm raising them than, things that I would have otherwise felt guilty on, much earlier, when I was in doubt.
And goes back to again saying that it's role modeling. And I think having strong role models, whether it was your manager, who you now mention as being extremely important for you to be able to aspire to actually get to where you got to, or being a great role model as a working mom at home. I think it's great because it gives us that confidence that if we go down this path where we make structural changes, where we have strong role models within the company, as well as encourage a lot of women talent, I think we can get to where we want to get to. So, Sonali, before I open up for any questions, some fun part. Share some great anecdotes from our Flipkart days. I'm sure there are many, many. I'm sure there are enough personalities even here at PhonePe that will be part of those stories. But tell us a couple of those instances, those uh, unforgettable instances from those days.
I think you quoted quite a few, right?
Outside of getting shouted at for us crashing the website with all the exclusive sales and all of it.
Oh yeah, the one where you dropped the order and it wasn't me. Are you talking about that one? Yeah, I think there were many. So I'll just kind of go through the first few that come to mind. I think all of these, which I also fondly remember now, right? Like I still remember, as you mentioned, like I was the only engineer in mobile, right? And then Pawan and yeah, I think we had like Pratyush and Rikin. Like I had like literally 3 or 4 people joined me, and we started building this. I think there was a hackathon that had led to the mobile site earlier. It wasn't really a invested effort, right? The mobile site that I inherited. It didn't even have a login. I don't know if you know that.
It had
And
nothing.
we
It
kind
was,
of
the M site was, yeah, it was pretty much a joke initially, but that's what you inherited. Yes.
yes. And so my fond memory is where we took that, and we kind of transformed it into a mobile website. We started seeing uh, good traffic and traction, and then we wanted to participate, right? And we really wanted to be part of like the first Diwali sale, But like we didn't have designers, we didn't have like, and so I think one of my most fun moments have been where I still remember like we the website would launch with a sale or whatever, and we're like nobody thought it was required that the mobile should also have it, right? And we would just go in and like steal assets and cut them off, chop them off, so that we could actually make them happen on mobile. So that was how it started, like the first Diwali for me. Where we actually had special effects of like firecrackers coming in, and Akash did that, Akash did that, so stuff like that. And then you roll forward in 6 months, we had 3 mobile apps. I think we were ranking number 1 or number 2 on the App Store on iOS. And we go to Sachin and we say, you know what, we've got this huge plan. We're going to give you like let's get 1 million users, because we have like 300,000 in a month. In the next year we're going to get like 1 million. And Sachin looks and says, and he said, okay, 3 million. And like, there's no science to this, right? It's like 3 million. And then he looks at us and says, nah. And Samir was in the room. He used to head marketing then. And he says, 10 million to chahiye.
I think a lot of people will be able to relate to that part of Samir even now.
I was like, what? Okay. But you know what we did, right? That year we did. And so that was the craziness. The other one was Xiaomi. I mean, I can't forget that one where, after the first debacle, right? After the first debacle, we were like, we had the real sale, and we were actually like whatever 100, 200 people on the same floor. Amod standing on one of those desks, declaring that now's the time. And like me and Saurabh were looking at the checkout numbers, and we saw that there was like you couldn't check out, like place order was free. That was because we had actually completely exhausted the complete inventory within the seconds, right? For a second we thought, oh man, this is like failing, but it was actually a huge success. And the third one, I mean, the big billion days, I don't know if we, especially the one which where we worked all night until the wee hours. Yeah, that one's to be that one's to die for, right?
And Nagaraju's here, and he's just typed. Let me read it out. He sent it only to the panelists. Less known fact about Sonali is she laid the foundation for a team, Linchpin, at Flipkart, which eventually built Richviews, Flipkart Lite, and Zion, 3 major web platforms on which Flipkart still runs. So
yeah, that was Nagaraju and his core team. Yeah, it was fun.
And
thanks Nagaraju for the linchpin. I think there are very few, like 4 or 5 of us who would kind of remember that name and brings very fond memories.
And Srijan is sending a big smiley with Xiaomi. I think Srijan, I think you would remember, he was having checkout when Saurabh came in, and we had this managers meeting where said that we told Saurabh you're taking over checkout, and I said that Srijan is handing over the hot potato to Saurabh, and everybody was laughing, and poor Saurabh didn't know what he was getting into.
Saurabh never got over that, Rahul. There was that seed that he planted in his head. Yeah. But Srijan was also really spearheading the availability. Srijan, I'm sure you remember. And that's why I guess the Xiaomi brings a smile, because Srijan was making sure that everything stays up and running as a core goal. Well, look, yeah, I can see Srijan's comments.
So Sonali, thank you so much. Anything, last parting thoughts for us, advice for me, Samir, our managers here, or for PhonePe?
I mean, first of all, we spoke before this, but I think PhonePe is doing an amazing job. So congratulations to all of you. So many things to be proud of. And I think for a startup to take a pause and kind of reflect, at this stage. I mean, of course, you guys are no longer a startup. I think maybe I'm kind of it's like you've seen a little child, right? And you always think of it that way. But yeah, probably grown up. And so probably this is timely. So I think that this is a great first step. I'm really glad that you're taking time to reflect. Um, I think, as I mentioned, I think, there is no silver bullet, and we all know that. I think largely, women need, confidence, competence, and the canvas, right? And I think what, there's no substitute for competence, right? It comes from motivation, hard work. Uh, but I think there's certainly stuff that PhonePe can do, on the other two, right? Because, I know for me, like, having role models very early on in my career, uh, you know, made me realize that it was possible, and it kind of wasn't a big deal. It was, you know, natural for me to see myself, wanting to strive for more. And the canvas, right? I think I must say that I've been grateful for the opportunities I've had where people have placed trust, which again I think PhonePe can do. I do think that um, it is unreal to expect that you or anyone can slow down when there is actually a paucity, right, of women leaders or talent. And I think finding inorganic ways to bridge that gap, um, as I mentioned, um, is another thing, that I think you probably want to explore. Because I do worry that, I worry for the pace at which, right, we're seeing. So I think that the industry has made a lot of progress in recognizing the gap. But I do think that there needs to be an inorganic intervention to kind of, solidly. And I think PhonePe is probably can lead the industry in many ways, right? Especially be a role model for companies in India, for how this can be done. And certainly can see both of you, um, you know, doing that.
Thank you so much, Sonali. I hope that over the next year, and by the time you're traveling here the next time, and we can actually do this in person, we've made some good, structured improvements and sustainable progress that we can share with you. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much for having me. I really look forward to getting an opportunity to meet all of you in person soon.